Hello? There is a female YouTuber who dreams of becoming famous and diligently works on her channel every day. She is also a mother of 5 children. To support his family of 7, her husband works tirelessly day and night, holding 2 jobs at once. Although their life is not affluent, it is enough to get by. Then a sudden tragedy strikes, causing the 5 children and the wife to lose their family's breadwinner. However, during the investigation, the police discovered that the case was more complicated than they initially thought. So what happened that year? The story takes place in Titus, located in northeastern Texas. This area is named after its first settler, Andrew Jackson Titus. It is an unremarkable land, with its largest city, Mount Pleasant, serving as the county seat, covering more than 1,100 square kilometers, but with a population of only 30,000 people. Samantha Wolford is a passionate YouTuber, pouring all her energy into her channel. She always takes care of her appearance and regularly uploads videos with the hope of one day becoming famous, becoming a real actress, and stepping into the glamorous world of entertainment. Samantha was born in August 1989 in Mount Pleasant, Texas, and is the eldest of 3 siblings. As a child, Samantha was obedient, lively, and well-behaved, but things began to change when she entered high school. Her academic performance deteriorated, and her romantic life was equally tumultuous because she fell in love with a schoolmate. If it had stopped there, it would not have been a big deal, but she found out she was pregnant and was determined to keep the baby. For the sake of the baby, Samantha decided to drop out of school to stay home and take care of her pregnancy. 9 months and 10 days later, she gave birth to a pair of adorable twins. But the problems began. She was unmarried and had children, and when she wanted to get married, her boyfriend refused. The terrible boyfriend immediately abandoned her and their 2 children without any support, let alone care. So Samantha went from being a high school student to a single mother, shouldering the responsibility of raising 2 young children alone. By 2008, when Samantha's twins were a few months old, she decided to get a new tattoo. Being a lover of tattoos and piercings, Samantha did not expect that this visit to the tattoo parlor would accidentally change her life. At the parlor, she met Ernest, a handsome and calm young man. They both shared a passion for tattoos and piercings, which created an immediate attraction. Despite Samantha already having 2 young children, Ernest did not mind. He was willing to love and care for her children as his own. After a short period of dating, they quickly moved in together without the need for marriage registration. In fact, such arrangements are not uncommon in the USA. Samantha later shared that the day she met Ernest was the happiest day of her life. Ernest was also born and raised in Mount Pleasant, Texas, and was 4 years older than Samantha. Before high school, his life was normal, just like his peers, but everything changed when he entered high school. His school had implemented a computer-based learning program, and Ernest was immediately captivated by this new technology. From then on, he was engrossed in the world of computers, dedicating all his time to research and gaming, neglecting his studies. As a result, his academic performance was terrible, and apart from a bit of computer knowledge, he had nothing noteworthy. After graduating from high school in 2004, Ernest decided not to go to college and stayed in his hometown to work as a regular carpenter. For the next 4 years, Ernest lived a fairly free and easy life, spending his off hours playing games and getting tattoos. Although he had nothing to complain about, Ernest still felt something was missing, perhaps a girlfriend. Then fate led him to meet Samantha, and their story began. 3 years after living together in 2011, Samantha became pregnant again. Miraculously, she gave birth to another set of twins. While their joy doubled, so did their financial burdens. With 4 young children, Samantha couldn't work, and all the financial pressure fell on Ernest. He had to work tirelessly day and night, holding down 2 jobs to make ends meet. Despite his best efforts, family conflicts became more intense, mainly due to financial strain. Their daily life went on with Ernest coming home exhausted to a chaotic and messy house. Samantha had to manage the care of 4 young children on her own, a monumental challenge for a young woman. Caring for the children was more exhausting than any job, so the house was rarely tidy. After a long day's work, Ernest had no energy left to help with the children or comfort his wife, leading to frequent arguments over trivial matters. Samantha thought a lot, and suddenly had the idea that she could develop a career and make money from home by becoming a YouTuber. She believed that by uploading interesting videos and attracting many subscribers, she could earn an income. With this in mind, Samantha started a YouTube channel and began uploading videos. Since she didn't have any special talents, she could only share stories about her life or film her children. Initially, her content wasn't very good, so few people watched. However, Samantha was not discouraged. She continued to dress up beautifully every day and put all her effort into making videos. Occasionally, she would involve her brother and father in her videos as her dream was to become famous and step into the glamorous world of entertainment. Time flew by, and before she knew it, it was 2013. Samantha remained persistent in her YouTuber career. Although her videos were still not very successful, the number of followers on her channel increased, giving Samantha a glimmer of hope that her dream might be coming true. However, Samantha's path to becoming a social media star soon faced a significant challenge. It wasn't due to a lack of effort, but because she became pregnant again. After the baby was born, her small family now had 5 children. The financial pressure was heavier than ever, and family conflicts increased. The arguments became more frequent, and on one occasion, Samantha even called the police to report that her husband had assaulted her, leading to Ernest being taken to the police station. In the early hours of February 20th, 2015, 3 masked men suddenly broke into their house. Samantha was tied up and brutally beaten while her husband was taken away. After managing to get to a phone, Samantha called her mother, Roche Wolford. Since Roche lived far away, she called her sister Ginger Kesteron, Samantha's aunt. Aunt Ginger lived nearby and immediately drove to Samantha's house with her husband. There they found Samantha tied up on the 2nd floor. After being untied by Aunt Ginger and her husband, Samantha quickly called 911. While taking the call, the operator quickly reported the incident to the police, and within minutes, a team of officers arrived at the scene. The body cameras worn by the officers captured the entire sequence of events. Samantha, crying, recounted the incident to the police. In the middle of the night, while my husband and I were sleeping, 3 masked men suddenly broke into the house, smashing the front door. They rushed upstairs, dragged me out of bed, threw me hard onto the floor, and used scissors to cut my clothes. Finally, they tied me up. While tying Samantha, the masked men held a knife to her throat, threatening to kill her if she didn't cooperate. Her husband, Ernest, was treated even worse. They forced him to kneel on the floor, hit him on the head with a pistol, causing injury and bleeding, and cut off a part of his hair. After brutally beating Ernest, they weren't satisfied and took him away, not forgetting to take his phone. Samantha waited a long time to ensure they had left before daring to call her mother. Despite being tightly bound, Samantha managed to inch towards the phone and use her nose to dial her mother's number. Samantha also mentioned that during the incident, the 3 criminals mentioned a name, Luke, which seemed to be one of their names. One of them also said that Ernest owed them $20,000. Beyond these details, the police could not gather any more clues. Notably, while describing the event in detail to the police, Samantha repeatedly changed her voice and tone to mimic the kidnappers, adding drama to her story. The interrogation lasted quite a long time, but strangely, Samantha only focused on recounting what happened to her and did not urge the police to find her husband. She also did not appear overly worried or anxious. It seemed she only wanted to convince the police that her story was true. Upon learning that Ernest's phone had been taken by the criminals, the police planned to trace the phone's signal using technical methods. They quickly determined that the phone's signal appeared in Pittsburgh, Texas. However, as the police were preparing to investigate that location, something strange happened. The phone signal suddenly disappeared. This indicated that the phone had just been turned off, cutting off their only lead. At this point, another experienced investigator named Chris Bragg arrived at the scene. Based on Samantha's testimony, Chris reviewed the entire process of the 3 criminals breaking into the house and noticed several suspicious points. Firstly, aside from the broken front door, the furniture inside the house remained intact, and no valuable property was missing, indicating that this was not a typical burglary. Secondly, according to Samantha, the criminals seemed to go straight upstairs to the bedroom, suggesting they were very familiar with the house's layout. However, Samantha insisted that she did not know these men by their appearance, voice, or build. Thirdly, Samantha's 5 children were still sleeping soundly, as if nothing had happened when the police arrived, all of them sleeping in one room. This seemed illogical since the children usually did not sleep in the same room. The sleeping arrangements appeared temporary, as if the children had just been moved there. Fourthly, Samantha claimed the criminals had pistol-whipped Ernest, causing him to bleed profusely. However, there were no signs of a bloody assault in the bedroom, only a few drops of blood on the living room sofa. Samantha also said they had cut her gray sweater with scissors, but the sweater at the scene showed no signs of being cut. Fifth is Samantha's strange action. Why did she use her nose to call her mother when she could have directly called the police? After all, 911 is just 3 digits, not complicated at all. Finally, throughout the process of giving her statement, Samantha's sorrowful expression seemed to contain a hint of indescribable joy. With so many suspicious points, the kidnapping might not be as straightforward as it appeared. Therefore, at 6:10 a.m., Samantha was invited to the police station for a formal interrogation. Time passed and it was already morning, but there was still no news about Ernest. However, Samantha remained calm as if nothing had happened. While talking on the phone with her mother, she maintained a calm tone, even thoughtfully arranging for food delivery for her mother. Finally, Samantha comfortably slept right at the police station. If you think carefully, you will find Samantha's behavior increasingly suspicious. In a normal case, if an innocent victim's husband was kidnapped and she herself was detained and interrogated as a suspect, her reaction would not be normal. Surely she would be extremely worried, angry, and frightened, possibly blaming the police for not searching for the criminals but detaining an innocent person like herself. Yet, Samantha did none of that. She remained very calm, even repeatedly mentioning a name implying it was the suspect, but when the police investigated, that person did not exist. Faced with the police's suspicions, Samantha began to rebut, even suggesting a lie detector test, asserting she was a good citizen who had never used or sold illegal substances, deeply loved her husband, and always tried to care for her 5 children. In short, she tried to prove herself a good wife and mother. However, Samantha's lie was quickly exposed by the police when a friend of hers revealed that she not only used illegal substances but also sold them. Although the police confirmed Samantha was lying, they did not rush to expose her but continued to pretend they knew nothing, asking questions to extract more useful information. Because once someone lies, they must use more lies to cover up. And liars often do not remember details well because they did not actually experience the events they fabricate. Understanding this weakness, the police repeatedly questioned Samantha about the same issues. For instance, regarding the early morning of that day, when asked what time they went to bed, Samantha readily answered 11 o'clock. However, when asked again at the police station, she said they went to bed at 12:15, even describing it in great detail. Or when the police asked if Samantha suspected any of her husband's friends were involved, she said she did not know because she was a housewife, a full-time mother who spent all day at home taking care of the 5 children and cleaning, not socializing with anyone, so she did not know many people. This statement revealed a significant flaw, because according to the police investigation, Samantha seemed to lack basic life skills, as evidenced by her incredibly messy and unsanitary house, with children's toys strewn everywhere. While it might be somewhat understandable if Samantha did not have time to clean because of caring for 5 small children, the unbelievable mess raised suspicions. Even more shocking was that Samantha's 5 children wore dirty clothes that appeared not to have been changed for days, even stained with feces and urine emitting a foul odor. This is completely contrary to what Samantha shared on YouTube, where she claimed to be an animal lover who would take care of them as diligently as her own children. As for Samantha saying she almost never left the house and devoted all her time to her family and children, that was an outright lie. The police discovered that Samantha frequently went to bars to drink and attended parties. It's likely that when Samantha went out to have fun, she left her 5 children at home without any supervision. Furthermore, Samantha constantly tried to badmouth her husband, claiming he beat her, treated her badly, was a cheater, and more. Meanwhile, Samantha always portrayed herself as the perfect wife and mother adored by many. On one hand, she attempted to tarnish others to build a good image for herself. On the other hand, Samantha continually added details to her kidnapping story to make it more thrilling and compelling, further increasing the police's suspicion. Samantha seemed to be lost in the story she had created, unable to escape, even though the police repeatedly reminded her to tell the truth, but she stubbornly refused to cooperate. At this point, what the police needed most was a breakthrough. After some thought, they decided not to beat around the bush and get straight to the point. The police informed Samantha that they would check her phone, review all call history for the past few years, and conduct a blood test to verify whether she had truly never used illegal substances. Hearing this, Samantha began to appear confused and worried. She said she wanted to call her parents for advice on what would be best for her. Seeing that Samantha was still trying to evade the interrogating officer, angrily said, "Do you know what I think? I think it won't be long before you end up in jail. I think you've been lying to me from the beginning. You did this, didn't you? I think you're a liar. I think you know exactly who did this. I don't want to hear your nonsense anymore, so I'll tell you what we're going to do. Let's get started." Samantha was stunned, standing rooted to the spot, unsure of what to do, and after a while she finally admitted, "Actually, I know who did this. Why did they do it? And in this case, will I be considered an accomplice or not?" The investigator immediately reassured her, asserting that as long as Samantha did not participate in the crime, she would not be considered an accomplice. Then Samantha began to confess, revealing a truth filled with lies and malicious schemes. Samantha, crying, said she lied out of fear, afraid of the perpetrator's retaliation. She confessed that the previous day she had visited the hospital to see Charla, a friend who had just given birth. Charla's boyfriend John was also there. John was known to be a thug with many connections. Samantha confided in Charla about her family troubles, many children, financial difficulties, an abusive, cheating husband who didn't care about the children. Unexpectedly, John overheard these complaints. He expressed outrage, portraying himself as a protector, saying he couldn't tolerate men beating women, and promised to help Samantha resolve everything. At that time, John was accompanied by two other men, one named Octavius and the other named Jojo. Samantha confirmed that the three masked intruders were these three men. Based on the hospital's surveillance cameras, the police quickly identified the three men: John Sanford, Octavius Rhymes, and Jose Ponce. All three were indeed at the hospital that day. At 9:40 a.m., the police entered the hospital and successfully arrested the three suspects. John was still wearing the black clothes he seemed to have worn when he broke into Samantha's house the previous night, and he hadn't had time to change. Facing the police's accusations, John confessed that Samantha had said many bad things about her husband the previous day. John, who despised men who beat women, wanted to help Samantha teach her husband a lesson. That night, John drove and picked up Octavius and then Jose. Initially, John intended for the other two to go while he stayed out of Samantha's house, but he eventually went along out of courtesy. They tied Ernest's hands, gagged him, and put him in the car. They drove to a nearby forest where Jose used a gun to kill Ernest. John's confession had two notable points. One, Ernest was dead, and two, the shooter was Jose. However, John insisted that the shooter was Octavius. In essence, they were trying to blame each other. Interestingly, John and Jose were related. At 11:28 a.m., John led the police to the forest where they found Ernest's body. The gun was later found at John's house. Initially, John's girlfriend, Lakna, adamantly claimed she had never seen the gun, but under police persuasion, her attitude changed completely. She even stated that if Jose committed the crime, she wouldn't be surprised because he was a bad person with a criminal record who had even pointed a gun at her head. Lakna said the gun was a gift from Jose, but never expected him to use it to kill someone. Accused of being the killer, Jose adamantly denied it. He claimed he had only known Samantha for one day and had no reason to kill her husband. Jose said John asked for his help and that Samantha was the mastermind. She intentionally left the door open for them to enter, arranged for her 5 children to sleep in one room, and to create the image of a victim, she even asked them to tie her up. Finally, based on the testimonies, the police reconstructed the sequence of events. When visiting her friend, Samantha complained about her husband's bad habits and asked John to help teach him a lesson. Initially, they planned to secretly put drugs in Ernest's car to frame him, then report to the police that Ernest was possessing illegal substances to get him arrested. They even bought the drugs the day before, but later changed their minds, thinking the best way was to eliminate Ernest. That night, they went to Samantha's house with the intent to kill. The mastermind behind everything was likely Samantha. John's phone contained 2 messages from Samantha. The timing of these messages matched when the police traced Ernest's phone. One message read, "Turn off the phone. Turn off that damn phone." The other read, "Get rid of the phone and leave immediately." Clearly, Samantha was helping the culprits evade the police, providing crucial evidence that she was the mastermind. In the end, the police couldn't determine who fired the gun, but this didn't affect the court's judgment of the criminals. Just 3 days after the incident, the police arrested the 3 kidnappers and the mastermind, Samantha. All were charged with murder and kidnapping. The swift resolution of the case was astonishing, and when the truth was revealed, the local community was shocked. The initial victim suddenly turned out to be a cruel wife, and the truth about the culprits took a dramatic and rapid turn. In May 2016, after more than a year of investigation and evidence collection, the case was officially brought to trial. To receive leniency from the law, Jose and John confessed to their crimes. In the end, both were sentenced to 55 years in prison for murder and kidnapping. In December of the same year, Rhymes's trial began. Unlike the other 2, he adamantly denied his guilt. After 3 days of trial, the court found him guilty of murder and sentenced him to 75 years in prison and a $1,000. He was then sentenced to an additional 23 years for kidnapping, with the sentences to be served consecutively, bringing his total sentence to 98 years. By September 2017, Samantha's trial also concluded. Based on the investigation results and the testimonies of the 3 criminals, the police concluded that Samantha was the mastermind. the one who had planned the entire crime and repeatedly lied to mislead the police. Even when exposed, Samantha continued to deny her guilt. Ultimately, she was sentenced to 99 years in prison for murder and 55 years for kidnapping, with the sentences to be served consecutively. Samantha later appealed but was unsuccessful. She will spend the rest of her life in prison. Since Samantha continually claimed her innocence, her true motive remains a mystery. Her accusations against her husband Ernest were later verified to be false. Some speculate that Samantha wanted to exploit the situation to gain fame on social media. With her husband dead, Samantha would become a pitiable single mother raising 5 young children alone, likely garnering sympathy and attention from the public, thus becoming famous. However, this is only speculation and lacks concrete evidence. The case has closed, but the revealed truth is cruel. On social media, Samantha built an image of a diligent mother and wife who loved animals and wholeheartedly cared for her 5 children and family. Yet behind this facade was a cruel, scheming woman who heartlessly planned her husband's murder. The consequence is that her 5 young children lost their father, and Samantha herself faces a deserved punishment. The most pitiable are the 5 children, the oldest of whom is only 8 years old, who must endure the loss of their father and their mother entangled in the legal system. This emotional wound will likely follow them for the rest of their lives. Samantha once said she loved acting and wanted to become an actress, but perhaps she never expected to act so exceptionally in this way. Throughout the case, Samantha indeed turned herself into an actress, a terrible one, and she did become famous, but in a way no one would ever desire. This case will give us a perspective on how to solve problems in love. Although in the same circumstances, 2 different ways of handling it will yield completely different results. It is fascinating that in such a horrific and heartbreaking tragedy, there are many aspects to compare, helping us see clearly the choices and forks in life. Around 9 a.m. on August 8th, 2012, police from the Zhengzhou City Police Station branch in Henan Province were gathering quite a crowd, including boats and dive team members, to salvage and search for something in the Kunli River. In just a moment, this incident had attracted a large number of curious onlookers gathered on both banks, discussing the ongoing situation. The incident started from a report by the cleaning crew about an hour earlier. At the time, members of the Zhengzhou Henan Canal Management Office assigned a group of cleaners to clean up the trash in the Kunli River area as usual. During the cleaning, a worker suddenly discovered a loosely tied cloth bag floating on the gentle waves of the river containing something round and with a strange odor. Thinking it was just ordinary trash, the worker did not think much and fished it out, throwing it into the trash can. However, after a while, an unusual swarm of flies appeared densely covering the trash can. Feeling a bit strange, the worker used a stick to pry open the loosely tied bag to take a look. When opened, the worker was horrified to see a tangled mass of hair and an overpowering foul odor. Trying to stay calm and thinking it might just be a wig, the worker pulled the stick harder, then was shocked to find a human head with long hair that had decomposed and the pale skin exposed through the bag's opening. Facing such a horrific scene, the worker vomited immediately. Seeing this, the co-workers quickly came over to examine, and after seeing the bag containing a woman's head, this group of workers immediately called the police. After arriving at the scene, the police immediately cordoned off the area and called in professional rescue teams to coordinate the search and recovery operations in the river to find the remaining body parts of the victim. While one group of police officers was tasked with searching for the body parts in the river, another group was conducting a thorough investigation of the crime scene to determine the site where the body was dumped. However, despite their best efforts, the professional diving team spent the entire day searching the river but found no results. No other remains of the victim were found in the river. The bag that the group of workers found at the victim's head contained a white dress printed with red roses and several misshapen cement bricks used to weigh down the bag and sink it to the bottom of the river. The police later found many similar cement bricks at an empty lot just a few hundred meters from the riverbank. This suggests that the perpetrator passed through this route on the way to dispose of the body and picked up a few cement bricks to put in the bag before throwing it into the river. However, this only confirms that the cement bricks in the bag were not prepared beforehand by the perpetrator, but were obtained from the immediate vicinity of the disposal site. Apart from this, the police did not find any other useful clues. Due to the fact that the head had been submerged in the river water for a long time, it was heavily decomposed and unidentifiable. Based on the size and long hair, the police can only tentatively conclude that the victim was a young woman between the ages of 20 and 30. After careful examination of the victim's head, the forensic examiner discovered a faint scar on the woman's chin. Upon closer inspection of the inner skin layer, the The forensic examiner confirmed that this was a scar from a previous surgical procedure. The victim's dental records showed that she was missing the sixth tooth in her lower jaw. This tooth had been missing for a long time and was not the result of any injury sustained during the incident. The internal injuries to the neck area indicated that the victim had suffered bruising to the neck muscles and damage to blood vessels. These injuries were all located on the same flat and elongated mark, leading the examiner to conclude that the cause of death was mechanical asphyxiation, meaning she was strangled by a cord or ligature. Based on the level of decomposition of the skull and the degree of skin slippage, the forensic examiner estimated that the victim had been dead for approximately 5 days. After using scanning techniques on the skull, it was determined that the victim was between 20 and 30 years old. The police then searched their internal database of missing persons in this age range from the local area. However, after investigating the records and comparing the DNA of the missing person's relatives, the police were unable to find a match with the victim's DNA. Therefore, the police surmised that the deceased was not a local resident, but rather a person from another region who had come to the area for work, as she had been missing for so long without her family noticing or reporting it. The police then examined the cloth bag recovered from the scene. By tracing the brand name printed on the bag, the police investigated all the small and large stores in the city. Through their inquiries, the police learned that this woven shopping bag was very widely used, and the number of people using it on a daily basis was relatively large, making it impossible to narrow down to a specific group of people or product from any particular store. The floral dress found inside the bag containing the victim's body was also photographed from multiple angles and investigated, but the stores in the city stated that this was a very affordable nightgown sold widely and in large quantities. The style and floral pattern on the dress were popular among many young women, making it extremely difficult to gather any information about the victim from such a common garment. Thus, the 2 items found with the body were unable to provide any further investigative leads. Currently, the police can only focus on the victim's characteristics in the hope of identifying the identity. Based on the fact that the deceased had cosmetic scars on the jaw and missing teeth, the police have organized a force to investigate the large and small hospitals in the city, especially the hospitals around the crime scene. However, after searching all the medical records of female subjects of the required age, there was still no clue that could confirm the identity of the deceased. In order to determine the identity of the victim as soon as possible, the police have posted a search notice and offered a generous reward for anyone who provides useful information. The notice has a photo of a white dress with red flowers, along with information about the victim, such as missing a lower tooth number 6 and having a scar from previous surgery on the chin. This reward notice has been posted in many places such as the entrances and exits of residential areas, train stations, bus stations, internet cafes, and all entertainment venues in the city in order to expedite the investigation process. Immediately after the search, notice and reward were sent out. The police received calls from many citizens providing information. However, after investigation, they determined that the reported information did not help verify the identity of the victim. On August 12, 2012, the police received a call from a middle-aged man who claimed to be Yuen. Over the phone, this man named Yuen said he saw the floral dress on the notice was very similar to the nightgown of his ex-girlfriend. He also said she had a scar exactly the same as described by the police on her chin, and once she had told him that she had a tooth that had decayed and been extracted long ago but not replanted, which caused discomfort when eating and drinking. After receiving this information, the police quickly arranged to meet the man named Yuen for further investigation. From the man, the police learned that his ex-girlfriend's name was Jin Xiaofeng, age 26, from Jumadian, Henan Province, currently working in a massage parlor on Nanyang Road, Zhengzhou. Yuen said that in 2008 he met his ex-girlfriend at a massage parlor in the city. They fell in love, but Yuen could not tolerate the fact that she worked in the flower-selling profession. Many times, Yuen advised his girlfriend to find another job to stabilize and consider a long-term marriage, but Jin Xiaofeng did not agree, so in 2009, they broke up. For a long time after that, Jin Xiaofeng still could not forget her ex-boyfriend, so she still actively messaged Yuen. Although they had broken up, they were still in frequent contact and occasionally met. But about a week ago, Jin Xiaofeng suddenly became unreachable and her phone was turned off. Furthermore, Yuen also told the police that Jin Xiaofeng had a new boyfriend and they were currently living together. At first, when Yuen could not get in touch with Jin Xiaofeng, he also had the idea of going to the place where she worked to look for her, but he was worried that Xiaofeng's current boyfriend would know about it and cause trouble for her, so he abandoned that idea. Based on the information provided by this man, the ex-girlfriend's profile is quite similar to the body, found especially the missing tooth. However, to determine whether the victim is Jin Xiaofeng or not, the police went to the massage parlor where Xiaofeng worked. The massage parlor owner told the investigators that Jin Xiaofeng had not come to work for a few days and added that a few days ago a man around 20 years old had angrily come and argued with her. After Xiaofeng went with him, they had not seen her come to work since then. Receiving this information, Shi Yuan led the police to the lower floor of the rented house of Xiaofeng. This was a multi-story low-income rental building. As the police prepared to go upstairs, they saw a young man coming down the stairs. Immediately, Shi Yuan whispered to the police that the man coming down was Kai Dong, Xiaofeng's current boyfriend. After learning that Xiaofeng's current boyfriend was still living in the rented house, the police deduced that if Xiaofeng had been missing for so long, it was impossible that her current boyfriend did not know about this. Why had he not reported it to the police? This unusual situation raised suspicions among the police. They decided to have one group monitor the man's actions to see if they could discover anything suspicious, while another group of police went to Xiaofeng's room to investigate. After contacting the landlord to open Xiaofeng's room, the police found the room to be a very simple bedroom with just a bed and a table with some miscellaneous items. Although the items inside were quite messy at first glance, there was nothing suspicious. However, upon careful inspection, the police found traces of blood scattered in the bedroom and bathroom. Moreover, in the bathrooms, the police also found a hammer and a knife with bloodstains. They collected the blood samples found at the scene and sent them to the forensics department for analysis. The results showed that the blood found in Jin Xiaofeng's room was a perfect match with the DNA of the severed head found in the river. At this point, it could be determined that the deceased was Jin Xiaofeng. As soon as they had this information, the group of police monitoring Kai Dong immediately arrested him. Faced with the sudden appearance of the police, Kai Dong was initially flustered and wanted to make excuses to defend himself. But when the police mentioned Xiaofeng's name, Kai Dong immediately bowed his head in the interrogation room. After the police presented the evidence, he did not hesitate and quickly confessed to murdering Jin Xiaofeng and disposing of the body. In the subsequent investigations into the victim, the police discovered that Jin Xiaofeng had already married in her hometown, and she had a husband and a 2-year-old son, but Kai Dong did not know about this because Xiaofeng had always told him that she was single. According to Kai Dong's statement, he was born in 1986 in a poor fishing family in Yancheng, Jiangsu province. Kai Dong's parents were very strict with him since he was young and he was often beaten. In Kai Dong's memory, due to his family's poverty, his entire childhood was spent around the boat and fishing. Because there were many siblings in Kai Dong's family, his parents could not afford to send him to school, so he had to drop out of middle school before graduating. From then on, he began to strive to earn a living to escape his parents' control. Due to his family's poverty, he had been under very limited control since he was a child, and he had never had a girlfriend, except for the bare minimum expenses for himself and sending a little money home to his parents each time all of Kai Dong's salary was saved. In 2010, after the Spring Festival holiday, he and some friends from his hometown came to the city of Zhengzhou to work. Kai Dong worked as a carpenter in a repair team, a tiring and dangerous job, but the income was relatively stable. In 2012, during a gathering of fellow townspeople after Kai Dong and some friends had had their fill, one of the group suggested they go to a nearby massage parlor to have fun. This is where Kai Dong and Jin Xiaofeng first met, as Xiaofeng was the one who served Kai Dong. She had a lively, cheerful, and amiable personality and knew how to care for others, probably because Xiaofeng had interacted with many different types of people in society. For Kai Dong, who had always lacked affection since childhood, this was the first time he had felt such warmth, and Jin Xiaofeng was also a beautiful young girl, so from their first encounter there was a special attraction between them. To have more opportunities to interact with Xiaofeng, Kai Dong would go to the massage parlor every time he was free. Furthermore, knowing that she was still single, Kai Dong began to pursue her passionately, seeing her as an attractive and high-class woman. Initially, Kai Dong's feelings for her were just a little affection, but later the two fell in love and decided to move in together. For Kai Dong, this was his first love, so he cherished it and was willing to do anything for the person he loved. After being together for a while, Kai Dong did not want his girlfriend to serve many other men every day, so he proposed that Xiaofeng quit her job, saying, "Don't go to work there anymore, I will take care of you." Later, Kai Dong handed over all the savings he had accumulated over the years to Xiaofeng, and at that time, Xiaofeng agreed to quit her job. However, not long after, Kai Dong discovered that his girlfriend often came home very late and sometimes even stayed overnight, and her phone was often out of service and unreachable. Xiaofeng explained that it was too boring at home, so she had found a new job at a food packaging factory, and sometimes she stayed overnight at the workplace because she worked too late and was too tired to go home. One time, Kaidong happened to pass by the massage parlor where Xiaofeng used to work, and he was surprised to see her embracing and joking with customers in the shop. Kaidong was furious, but he did not want to make a fuss at her workplace. Waiting for Xiaofeng to return home, Kaidong had a clear conversation with her, and the two also had their first fierce argument since they fell in love. Afterward, their relationship began to become more cold, but because it was his first love and he had invested so much emotion, Kaidong did not want to give up the relationship and tried to salvage it. He proposed marriage to Xiaofeng but was bluntly rejected by her. In early August 2012, after returning from work to the rented room, Kaidong did not find Xiaofeng at home. He waited until midnight, but she still did not return, so he went to the massage parlor where Xiaofeng worked again. When he saw that she was still serving customers, Kaidong angrily went in and pulled Xiaofeng's arm, wanting her to come home, and on the way back, the two had a fierce argument. When Kaidong returned to his dorm room, he found Xiaofeng still furious, angrier than him because she felt her boyfriend had embarrassed her in front of everyone. At this point, Kaidong had to swallow his pride and hug Xiaofeng to console her, but what Kaidong didn't expect was that Xiaofeng not only angrily refused to let him come near her, but even worse, she threw a broom at him. She said irritatedly, "If you have the courage, then kill me. Otherwise, we break up." Kaidong was furious to the point of blindness, but Xiaofeng's action, like the last straw, caused him to completely lose control. He took an electric wire nearby and strangled Xiaofeng. After the fit of rage gradually subsided, Xiaofeng was completely motionless, lying on the floor with no signs of life. Kaidong did not feel afraid but dragged Xiaofeng's body into the bathroom and quietly went to bed. The next morning when he woke up, the first thing Kaidong did was open the bathroom door to take one more look at Xiaofeng's body. At this point, he discovered that bruises had appeared on her body in areas like her back, arms, legs, and thighs, which are called contusions in forensics. From that moment on, Kaidong felt anxious. He knew that if he left his girlfriend's body in the house for a long time, it would certainly be discovered. So he went to a luggage store near the train station to buy a large suitcase. That afternoon, when he tried to put Xiaofeng's body into the suitcase, he realized the body had stiffened after nearly a day and could not fit in the suitcase. In his difficulty, he came up with the idea of dismembering the body. Kaidong spent several more hours dividing and arranging the parts into the large suitcase. After neatly arranging everything, Kaidong realized the head could not be put into the suitcase. Moreover, looking at Xiaofeng's wide-open eyes, he shuddered, then took one of her nightgowns to wrap it, and then put the head into a bag. Kaidong felt completely exhausted, both physically and mentally, so he fell asleep again, and he had been sleeping with the body of his girlfriend in this rented room for 2 consecutive days. On the night of the 3rd day, taking advantage of the darkness, Kaidong rode his electric bicycle carrying a bag containing the head to the banks of the Kunli River to dispose of it. There, he accidentally saw some cement bricks nearby, so he put them in the bag and tied it up before throwing it into the river. As for the other body parts, Kaidong had placed them in a suitcase and thrown it into a cornfield in a remote area. During the interrogation, Kaidong was rather calm when recounting the murder and body disposal. It seems he was ready to pay the price, knowing he would face the death penalty from the moment he committed the crime, and he had never even thought of fleeing. However, what surprised the police the most was that after Kaidong was arrested, they contacted his family in Jiangsu, but no one came to visit or even asked about Kaidong's situation. It was as if they had abandoned this son, not caring whether he lived or died. Even after being sentenced to death, whether in court or in prison, and when he was taken to carry out the sentence, Kaidong was alone. He truly seemed like the loneliest person in the world, silently embarking on the final journey of his life. It is possible that we do not know what Kaidong had been through in his life, but from the indifference of his family when he faced the death penalty, it is not difficult to realize that his childhood was also not a happy one. Growing up in a family lacking in affection, when Kaidong met a service girl like Jin Xiaofeng, he felt this was the only warmth in his lonely life. However, in reality, this gentleness was just him buying it with money. Kaidong loved Jin Xiaofeng deeply and had made a serious commitment to a long-term relationship with her, disregarding all of Xiaofeng's past and present. After Xiaofeng returned to the job she had promised to quit, Kaidong was still willing to overlook it, to cling to this love. But the tragedy was that Jin Xiaofeng did not truly love Kaidong. Although she has a husband and children in the countryside, Xiaofeng still lied and claimed that she was single and living with Kaidong. Perhaps while living in this bustling city, she needed a support system, a man to rely on. Of course, that does not mean that Kaidong deserves sympathy for his crimes. Kaidong had to pay the price with a death sentence, which was a legitimate verdict. However, at the time, there was also fierce debate on social media that he was somewhat pitiful because the fault was also partly due to the deceased, and if there is a cause, there must be an effect. For Kai Dong, if he had been more clear-headed in love like Xiao Feng's ex-boyfriend who had helped the police investigate the victim's identity, things might have been different. When he discovered that his girlfriend was a sex worker and was advised not to, he decided to break up, which was a peaceful resolution. If you cannot thoroughly resolve the problem that is bothering you, the only way is to terminate the relationship with the person causing the problem. If Kai Dong had been wiser and not handled things in such an extreme way, his life might not have ended in tragedy. You can see that in the same relationship with a girl, some people choose to end it because they cannot accept the fact that their girlfriend is a sex worker and later provide information to help the police crack the case and receive a reward. In contrast, Kai Dong chose to try to cling on, and when he could no longer, he lost control and led to a horrific case. What are your thoughts on this case today? Please leave a comment below so that we can discuss together, and if you find it interesting, please support us by clicking the like button and subscribing to our channel. Thank you for watching. Goodbye.